Engineers, developers, and embedded professionals all over the world, welcome to today's Embedded Computing Design webcast, accelerating embedded software testing with modular automation in Wind River Studio Developer. I'm Ken Briota, Editor-in-Chief for Embedded Computing Design, and I'll be your host and moderator for today. In today's session, we're going to be looking at how you can use Wind River Studio Developer to speed your embedded software testing with modular automation. Our speakers today are Nitesh Goyal, Senior Manager, Product Management, and the Product Lead for the Studio Developer Testing Suite at Wind River, Samantha Sahami, Product Marketing Line Manager at Wind River, and Valdemar Borek, Global DevSecOps Architect at Aptiv. Now, please allow me to formally introduce our panel of speakers. Nitesh Goyal brings more than a decade of experience in product management, engineering, and customer success. He focuses on enabling cloud-connected, scalable, and automated workflows for intelligent edge systems across industries, including automotive, aerospace, industrial, and rail. His leadership has delivered high-impact features in continuous testing, virtual hardware, in-the-loop environments, traceability, and resource-efficient continuous integration and continuous delivery pipelines. Samantha Sahami has more than a decade of experience in AI and cloud innovation, including more than 10 years at Microsoft. She most recently drove global go-to-market strategy for Azure OpenAI and machine learning, enabling Fortune 500 companies to harness generative AI for their operations. Now she advances DevSecOps adoption across aerospace, automotive, and industrial sectors. Valdemar Borek has 23 years of experience driving software development in the automotive industry. He's led initiatives to introduce Linux OS for automotive use, to develop Aptiv's first CI system for infotainment, and to create the company's advanced software factory for automated software building and testing. I think that's enough from me, though. You're here to hear from our speakers, so let me virtually hand off the mic. Samantha, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ken, for the warm introduction. Hi, everyone. It's so great to be here with you all today. My name is Samantha Sahami, and I'm the Product Marketing Lead for Wind River Studio Developer. Before we dive into our main webinar topic for today on modular testing and automation, I'd like to first just set the stage and provide a quick overview into our organization, Wind River, who we are, the industries that we serve, and really why organizations around the world have trusted our technology to power billions of their devices running their most mission-critical workloads. And so hopefully this quick introduction will help frame up the rest of our session and discussion for today. So to start, let me just give you a snapshot into our organization, Wind River. We are a global leader in software for the intelligent edge, helping industries across aerospace, automotive, industrial, telecommunications, build and run the next generation of mission-critical systems. We have been around for more than 4 decades, founded back in 1981, and today we're a global organization with around 1,600 employees and 1,700 customers worldwide. What really sets us apart is the scale of our impact. At Wind River, our software is embedded in billions of devices, powering everything from aircraft to automobiles to factories, even to telecommunication networks. And beyond the technology itself, we do bring a deep expertise, award-winning customer support, and of course, a strong partner ecosystem, which is largely why we're recognized as a market leader for edge-to-cloud computing. Now, as you can see on this slide, Wind River is truly a global organization. We do have major hubs across North America, Europe, Asia, Bay Area, Ottawa to Munich, even Tokyo. And you can see here, we do have some satellite service centers and offices, really to have a close presence to our customers worldwide. And our aim is to ensure that we deliver consistent world-class support to more than 1,700 organizations. And apart from our global reach, everything that we do here at Wind River is truly anchored on our mission. Our mission is to enable the journey to the intelligent edge for mission-critical industries where safety, security, performance, reliability, they aren't optional, they're absolutely essential. Our focus is not only the technology that we build, but also how we support our customers and partners around the globe. And it's really the foundation for the innovations that we'll be talking about largely today. And so one of the best ways to see our mission in action is by looking at who we work with. Some of the world's most trusted brands across aerospace, defense, medical, industrial, telco, automotive, truly have relied on Wind River. These are just some of the many organizations that are building safe, secure, and reliable devices from aircraft to medical equipment, factory automation, and connected cars. And so for us here at Wind River, it's truly a privilege to have partnered with these industry leaders. And it also reflects, the trust that we've earned in delivering innovations for some of the world's most mission-critical industries and organizations, where there's there's no margin for error for these organizations. And as I mentioned on the previous slide, some of the world's most trusted brands have relied on Wind River for their mission-critical workloads. And really, this trust is built on a journey of transformation. We started with a strong heritage of embedded software products, which many of know, VxWorks, the #1 real-time operating system, and Wind River Linux, the #1 embedded Linux. As customer needs have evolved, of course, we've expanded from edge to cloud software. And with our Wind River Studio Developer, which is our DevSecOps platform, we've really enabled embedded software lifecycle management across devices from edge to cloud environments. And so now we're really focused on our next chapter on delivering cloud-based solutions that automate and enable AI, and of course, strengthen security and compliance for organizations worldwide. Now, I'd just like to take a quick moment to spotlight one of our most strategic partners in Aptiv. Aptiv is a global leader in automotive technology, and they've really specialized in delivering some of the world's most advanced software and electrical systems that power many of the most cutting-edge and advanced vehicles out on the roads today. They've been using our cloud-based DevSecOps platform, Wind River Studio Developer, to modernize their continuous integration and continuous delivery for embedded software. And with Wind River Studio Developer, Aptiv has been able to automate their testing and improve their software quality while also delivering their software delivery timelines exponentially. And so joining us here today, we do have a guest speaker from Aptiv, Waldemar, who Ken also mentioned. He's our global DevSecOps architect from Aptiv, and he will actually be sharing us a little bit of the firsthand look of how his team have leveraged Wind River Studio Developer and the impact that Studio Developer has had on their testing and deployment environments. So before we head into that segment, however, I do want to hand it off to our next presenter, Nitesh Goyal. He's our Senior Product Manager for Wind River Studio Developer, and he'll be presenting our next segment on embedded software challenges with testing and automation. So with that, Nitesh, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Amanda. Hello, everyone. My name is Nitesh Goyal, and as Samantha mentioned, I'm the product lead for Studio Testing Solution. And today, over the next few minutes, we are diving into a critical challenge that is facing our modern development teams, which is why traditional testing approaches are failing short in a fast-paced AI-driven world. So imagine this scenario. Thanks to AI accelerations, the developers can now rapidly create and iterate code. But when it comes to testing, they hit a massive roadblock. The physical test benches are scarce, and these limited resources create long queues. And when teams finally get the hardware access, they're stuck with slow, manual testing processes that can't keep up with their development speed. The numbers we have seen after interaction with customers are eye-opening. We have seen that up to 60% of defects are discovered during system integration when they are most expensive to fix. Even more striking is that 20% of product releases are delayed due to testing challenges. That's almost 1 in 5 launches pushed back, costing our customers and their companies not just money, but market momentum. And these delays aren't just about direct cost. When you factor it, engineering rework, missed market opportunities, and potential damage to customer satisfaction, the impact is profound. In fact, a single late found defect can cost over $100,000. In midst of all this, Gartner research highlight a promising solution. Organizations that are adopting cloud-native testing are seeing 40% faster time to market and 60% reduction in testing cost. And this is the transformation we are here to discuss today. So if you look and overlay the challenges uniquely faced by mission-critical industries like aerospace and defense, automotive, and medical technologies, these aren't your typical web applications where you can move fast and break things. When you're developing system that controls flight path or manage your weapon platforms or guide your autonomous vehicle, failure is simply not an option. So what these industries need is a testing solution that provides a deterministic reproducibility. Not just it works on my machine, but it works exactly the same way every single time. B, you need scalable, intelligent testing solution that can orchestrate hundreds and thousands of complex scenarios in parallel. C, you need multi-domain integration that unifies testing across different critical systems, like avionics, mission computers, and autonomous controllers. And then there is compliance, whether it's DO 178C in aerospace, ISO 26262 in automotive, or other safety critical standards. The real question isn't whether you can afford advanced testing infrastructure. It's whether you can afford not to have it in today's high-paced technological landscape. So let's talk about what happens when engineering teams try to build the testing solutions on their own. Well, they start with the best intentions. They set up simulations, they containerize them, they build a sleek web interface, but then the reality hits hard. What seems like a straightforward project, it quickly becomes a nightmare. The manual deployments of VMs and containers lead to inconsistent environment. The lifecycle management becomes a mess because suddenly you have got zombie processes, memory leaks, or cloud costs that are spiraling out of control. The version control becomes a tangled web, and without a consistent target management, test repeatability goes out the window. Security and compliance, that becomes a major headache. The ad hoc credentials create significant IP risk and audit gaps. But here's the real kicker. While your best engineers are spending months building and maintaining this fragile infrastructure, your competitors are using the same time to build better products. We have seen many engineers teams get caught in this trap, pouring talent and resources into infrastructure instead of innovation. And the most frustrating part, they often end up with a solution that creates more problem than solving these problems. Now let's take a look at how we address all these pain points with Studio Testing Solution. We have taken the specific challenges that embedded and mission critical teams face and built a platform designed just for that. What you see on the slide on the left side is the developer testing solution. And at the core of that is two main components. First, there is virtual app that gives you secure cloud-based access to both physical hardware as well as your simulated test environment. So whether you need remote benches, hardware in the loop setups, or high fidelity system simulations, your teams and globally distributed developer ecosystems can access them from anywhere in the world. Second, we have test automation. This handles everything from test execution to orchestration to result management for embedded platforms and edge application. It supports rich test metadata. It integrates directly with your requirements and enables the repeatable test cycle that aligns with your certification goals. Together, these two services form a lightweight, standalone test infrastructure, and it works seamlessly with your existing CI tools, whether you are using Jenkins, GitLab, GitHub, or other custom solutions. But here is where Studio is different from other testing solutions. As your need grows, Studio grows with you. So you can start with testing, but when you are ready, you can easily integrate with other Studio services like CI/CD pipelines, or secure OTA delivery, or edge telemetry ingestions. No need for any replatforming, no need for any re-architecture. So let's talk about how and what really sets Studio testing apart, not just as a test suite, but as a complete solution for scalable, secure, and certifiable testing workflows. We built Studio testing around 4 foundation pillars that tackles the toughest challenge in mission-critical industries. First, with Studio, you get secure, cloud-native access to remote hardware, which eliminates those frustrating bench bottlenecks. This means your teams can keep integrating and testing no matter where they are in the world. Second, our platform supports flexible, high-fidelity simulations, including the ability to bring your own models and run system-level scenarios. So whether you are testing failure modes or redundancy logic, Studio can run thousands of variations in parallel, helping you cut quality delays by up to 50%. Third, test orchestration. With a single pane of glass interface, every test is linked to the requirement, so you get end-to-end traceability, version-aware test logic, and audit-ready outputs. And finally, access management. We allow our customers to govern centralized role-based access control, which is critical for managing contractors and safeguarding your sensitive information, ensuring your test collaterals can be reused securely across projects. The bottom line is, Studio testing isn't just a tool, it's an enterprise-grade, scalable test platform that grows with you. Now let's see how Studio testing fits right into your existing development ecosystem. After talking to many customers, what we realize is most organizations need enterprise scaling testing capabilities that work with their current development and security infrastructure, not against it. And that's exactly what Studio testing delivers. You can deploy it as a lightweight platform within your own environment, whether that's on-premises, in AWS public cloud, in AWS GovCloud, or even in air-gap setups. There is no need to overhaul your entire stack. Just install the virtual lab and test automation components, and you're ready to go. Studio testing provides a control plane and a secure integration layer that connects directly with your existing tool, like GitLab, GitHub, or other CI/CD systems you use. This means that you keep your current source code management, artifact management solution, security framework, user management, and compliance processes all stay intact. Studio simply extend your current capabilities all within your own control. Next, let's take a slightly of a deep dive into the two components we talked about. We'll start with Virtual Lab. Virtual Lab is important because this is where we eliminate your biggest bottleneck, which is hardware access. At the heart of Studio Virtual Lab is a container-based simulation orchestration engine. And with this approach, simulation targets anywhere from board-level environment to full system replicas can be provisioned as containers, offering 10x faster provisioning. We're talking seconds instead of hours for setting up your test environments. A cloud-native scaling and scheduling delivers up to 90% resource utilizations in comparison to the 30% you're probably seeing with your physical hardware. But here is where it becomes really powerful. We support any simulation technology, whether you're using Intel SumX, QEMU, Android emulators, or custom models. Our platform orchestrates them. You get declarative target definitions that allow and ensure repeatable, reproducible orchestrations across your entire organization. And for your physical hardware that you still need, because we know you cannot simulate everything, we provide centralized administration, remote access, and calendar-based scheduling for reservation systems. So your global teams can collaborate 24/7 with enterprise-grade security and compliance built in. In fact, one of our automotive customers told us they went from hardware being their biggest bottleneck to having unlimited testing capacity. So the teams across 3 continents can now access the same test environment, run the same test scenarios, and collaborate in real time. Talking about our test automation capability, because this is where we make your testing intelligent, not just faster. Now, traditional testing runs everything and every time, whereas we offer a modular testing platform that allow you to run the tests that are precisely needed while maintaining the same coverage. So you get faster feedback without sacrificing quality. But we know speed isn't enough. You need traceability. So the platform provides full traceability from requirement to test results, generating compliance reports that are audit ready. No more manual evidence collections and no more fragmented logs across different systems. Our modular test libraries grow with your organizations. As your teams develop new test cases and test scenarios, they become part of the shared library that other teams can leverage. And because we know you're not starting from scratch, our platform integrates with your existing test frameworks and test harnesses that you are already using. Whether you are using PyTest, Google Test, JUnit, or other custom frameworks, we plug into your existing workflow without requiring you to rip and replace your existing investment. So let me share a real-world example of the kind of transformation studio testing can deliver. We worked with a global automotive leader who was developing next-generation infotainment system. Earlier, they were struggling with 12 weeks lead time for hardware and limited physical testing resources, making it tough for the global teams to collaborate early and efficiently. And after 90 days of implementing studio testing, they are now running over 500 simulations at once with 24/7 global access, which means the test cycles have become faster, up to 60% faster, and they could provision test environments much more quickly. The impact is now the teams in North America, Europe, and Asia Pacific are able to work together, sharing the same test scenarios and environments. So what used to be a slow, hardware-constrained process now became a fast, parallel, and globally distributed capability. And this shift is helping them to reduce the time to market, giving them a competitive edge. So now I think you have heard enough from us about what the platform can do. Let's hear it from someone who is actually using it in production. And with that, it's my pleasure to invite Waldemar Borek from Aptiv to join our conversation.
Hello. Yeah, my name is Waldemar Borek, and I'm Global DevSecOps Solutions Architect at Aptiv. And today I will talk about Aptiv experience with WinRiver Studio. So, as you can see on the streets, automotive systems are becoming very complex. So today's car is essentially a computer on wheels. With hundreds of components inside, errors in such systems can grow to thousands. So switching to a zero defect mindset is not just idea, it's essential. That's why in Aptiv we shifting testing left. So integrating software early and often to catch issues before they reach the system level. We use multi-level merge gates and virtualization to enable continuous integration testing. Every developer who submits the change in the system receive automated feedback from our CI system after building and testing the software. So CI is not just for our internal developers. It's also used by our suppliers. So they can benefit from the CI systems to validate their changes before they deliver to us, and we merge the changes to the master branch. Okay, our CI pipelines are built around the quality assurance and fast delivery. We support daily dev drops and night builds, both for developers and for our suppliers, enabling early validation of all the changes. Each change goes through the merge gates. Here, automated smoke tests, software tests, and system level tests takes around 1 hour. During the nightly builds, we've got much more time, so then test execution can take up to 6 or 7 hours. Then the results are feedback to developers in fully automated way, so helping them to react quickly on any problems. The change control board ensures only verified code reaches the main branch. And thanks to this setup, we are able to deliver stable software to our customers every week. On the slides, we can see how our CI build process is structured across Aptiv. So we use a well-defined repository structure for each software domain, which is key to enabling automation across builds and tests, and also deployments. The structure allows us to trigger builds manually or automatically and ensures that consistent integration. Central part of the build process is WinRiver Studio, connecting all steps and tools. We support multiple build types, development drops, release candidates, and nightly builds, each build serving different stages of the development lifecycle. Thanks to the setup, we can scale CI across teams and projects, maintaining traceability and ensure that every build is aligned with our quality standards. Here you can see one of our pipeline. WinRiver Studio helps us to streamline the entire software lifecycle, from the source code preparation to build and test, and at the end finishing with delivery. Once a build is triggered and goes through all automated steps, using smoke tests and integration tests and system tests. Sometimes also we are using the virtual test triggers to ensure the quality. We support multiple platforms, including Android, Unix, and Linux. We also build combined images, so for the projects that includes multiple CPU architectures. For example, some of our automotive systems use an ARM processor for infotainment and a small microcontroller for low-level controls. Studio enables us to build and test these systems in unified pipelines, ensuring that every build is validated. This is a key enabler for delivering stable and working software to customers every time. Virtual targets are part of our testing strategy, especially during the CI. For example, we use Android Cuttlefish to simulate system behavior, enabling continuous integration even before physical devices are available. Tests are developed both by Aptiv teams and external suppliers, ensuring broad coverage. Our CI pipeline supports also thread-based test execution, so we can include in test runs tests coming from different sources. One big advantage is parallel execution, so we can launch multiple virtual targets at once. To give you an idea, full Android CTS tests on a single bench might take up to 2 weeks. But with multiple virtual targets, we can reduce that to just 1 or maybe 2 days. This dramatically improves test turnaround and accelerates delivery. This is our continuous testing lab. It's combining physical test benches and the racks with dedicated ARM-based servers for virtual targets. The physical benches are used to validate software on real automotive hardware, ensuring system-level reliability. What's powerful is that these benches are remotely managed via our bench reservation system or virtual lab from WinRiver Studio. We've got 2 tools because we are still in the migration phase to the VLab. Those tools allow engineers to reserve, access, and control test benches from anywhere, enabling global cooperation and efficient resource usage. For example, lab is located in Poland, and software test team who develops test cases is in Bangalore. The lab is fully integrated with our CI pipeline, and it's supporting automated full-loop test execution. The lab is scalable, secure, and efficient environment that helps us maintain high software quality. The virtual lab allows us to manage both virtual targets and physical test bench remotely. So important, our CI pipelines are integrated with virtual lab. So physical benches can be automatically provisioned and used for testing. No manual steps needed. The same benches are shared between developers during the day and used by CI pipelines for nightly builds, maximizing resource utilization. This setup supports 24/7 testing and reduces idle time, and ensures consistent and automated validation. The dashboards, yeah. It's a powerful tool for providing real-time visibility into the quality of our software. Dashboards allow us to monitor test execution, source code static analysis, or give access to different metrics, all from a single pane of glass. These dashboards are used daily by project teams to access software health, identify regressions, and ensure readiness for delivery. They also track traceability and coverage. We are linking tests directly to requirements in Polarion, which is crucial for compliance and audits. This level of transparency helps both engineering and management stay aligned and make decisions through the project development cycle. Okay, that's all from my side. So yeah, I give back to Ken.
Thanks, Waldemar. And we've had a bunch of questions come in throughout the whole presentation for both you and Nitesh. So I'm going to jump right into those. Folks out there listening, please feel free to keep sending your questions in. If you have more, we'll get to as many as we can here while we
Hey,
have
Ken,
time.
I do want to have a fireside chat with Waldemar before we come to the questions from the audience. So if I can take the mic back and just go through.
Of course.
Thank you. So first, thank you, Waldemar. That was a fantastic overview of Aptiv's journey with Studio. I think what really stuck with me is how Aptiv uses WinRiver Studio to enable early, automated, and scalable continuous integration testing with both virtual and physical targets, which is now allowing both your internal teams and suppliers to receive rapid and automated feedbacks and maintain the high quality software throughout your development lifecycle. So now let's shift gear here and make this more conversational. So Waldemar, I'd love to explore your experience in more depth, and I'm sure folks in the audience have questions, but let's start with some initial questions. My first question to you, Waldemar, is before Aptiv adopted Studio, what were the big goals Aptiv wanted to achieve in modernizing your testing?
Okay, we had several strategic goals to improve our software pipelines. First, for sure, was the automation scale. So we aim to reduce the manual effort and increase consistency across all the testing processes. So automation was key to accelerate and develop improvement and reliable software. Yeah. Then the next goal was to merge gates, yeah, to ensure quality and stability. So we wanted to implement the strict merge gates for all the software components. This will allow us to catch issues early and enforce validation before any code was integrated. The next point was always stable master branch. So maintain a stable branch in the state that we can deliver always. Our goal was to ensure that the mainline code base is always buildable and possible to deliver. Then the next goal was to on-demand software delivery. So we wanted to be able to deliver software on demands with a minimum delivery cadence of once per week. This required us a robust CI pipeline that could support frequent, reliable releases. So I think that's the four goals which were our, let's say, target before we try to find new solutions.
Thank you. I think I was having a bit of a network connection drop, but thank you very much, Waldemar. So building on the experience with early, automated, and scalable testing, if we look back at the journey, what challenges did Aptiv encounter with the legacy or traditional testing systems that led you to seek out a new solution?
Okay, so yeah, with our legacy testing systems, so we face several key challenges. So for sure, limited scalability. So traditional setup couldn't scale effectively with growing project demands. So as the number of components and teams increasing, the infrastructure which we used for testing was the bottleneck in testing and validation. Then delayed feedback after the build process. So the time between the code submission and test results was often too long. So this slowed down the development cycles and make it harder to catch and fix issues early in the process. The next point, I think it's like the hardware resource contention. So sharing physical test benches and hardware resources across the teams was a major pain point. It led to scheduling conflicts and under-utilization, sometimes delaying even the test execution. And probably the point which is also targeting here is low reuse across the projects. So testing frameworks and setups were often tightly coupled to the specific projects, so making it difficult to reuse between the projects. This resulted in duplicated effort and inconsistency across different teams.
Perfect, Valdemar. I think the follow-up with that would be, I think we are curious about the decision-making process. So when you started evaluating alternatives, what made Studio stand out for you as the right solution for testing and development?
Okay, so yeah, it was more like evolution in active CI pipelines, the evolution of our internal automation journey over the past decade. So Studio was like the next step as it provides solutions to active needs. So over like 15 years ago, we started building automated testing using the custom tools developed in-house. So these were tailored to our specific needs, but lacked scalability and integration. So as our project grew, we moved to Jenkins to automate CI workflows. This gave us more flexibility and control, but still required significant effort to maintain and scale across the teams. So next steps was development of a common test framework. We call it Inactive Test Commander. We created a unified test framework that was linking test cases directly with requirements. This framework was designed to be reusable across all the projects, so improving consistency and traceability between the teams. In Aptiv, we tried different frameworks for testing, but finally we decided to create our own framework called ATT, Automated Testing Tools Framework. So ITT further enhance our capabilities by standardizing test execution and reporting, so making it easier to manage complex test environments. And then transition to Wind River Studio was natural next steps, as Wind River Studio brought all these elements together in a single integrated platform. So we've got inside the build support for automation in the CI. We've got possibility to use our ATT framework and the TAF for testing. We are able to scale infrastructure for testing, and then we've got centralized management of the test resources. So Studio shut out because it didn't just make our technical requirements. It's reflect the maturity of our internal processes and provided a unified environment to accelerate delivery.
Perfect. So clearly the thing that stood out for Aptiv was how Studio can help the standardization and centralizations of the perforations of various testing tools and testing frameworks into a single pane of glass, enabling the transparency and visibility. Love that. But as you did the evaluation and proceeded on the adoption, can you walk us through the implementation process? For instance, I'd love to hear how Wind River teams supported your transitions and any key steps on learning from that experience.
Okay. The implementation of the Wind River Studio Adaptive was carefully planned and executed to ensure a smooth transition. So the goal was to implement Studio without any interruption for the projects. So we initially developed Studio in shadow mode. So running Studio in parallel with our existing tools and pipelines. This allowed us to implement and check pipelines and ensure that they produce consistent outputs compared to our legacy system. So once we confirmed that the Studio was aligned with our existing results, we switched projects one by one from shadow mode to the normal and make Studio our primary CI environment. So after this transition, we began leveraging the Studio advanced features, such as integrating test environment management, scalable automation, and centralized resource handling, which were previously fragmented across multiple tools. So Wind River team played a key role in this transition. So they analyze our existing CI and testing frameworks and provide guidance on how to replicate and optimize them within the Studio. However, I need to say that actual implementation was carried out by active engineers. So this approach allowed us teams to gain hands-on experience with Studio and build internal expertise from day one. So the collaboration approach ensures the minimal disruption while enabling us to fully benefit from Studio capabilities and accelerate our CI.
Thank you, Waldemar. I think the strategic collaborations to reduce disruptions while enabling Studio was absolutely the key to Aptive success. And as you have proceeded through the implementations, we're interested to hear about the impact. So as you rolled out Studio, what changes do you see in the day-to-day operations?
Okay, after rolling out the Wind River Studio in Aptive, we experienced several changes like day-to-day operations. So streamlined workflows. Tasks that previously required multiple tools and manual coordination were now centralized. So this significantly reduced the complexity and improve efficiency across the teams. Then we've got like the faster feedback cycle. With Studio integrated CI/CD capabilities, we saw a reduction in the time it took to get feedback from automated tests. This helped developers catch the fixed issues earlier in the development cycle. Definitely the improved resource management. So Studio centralized our hardware resources and test benches. So this resolves many of the previous conflicts and scheduling issues. Teams could now access shared resources more reliably and transparently. And the point which I mentioned before, the reuse across the projects. So thanks to unified pipelines and test frameworks, we were able to reuse components and configurations across multiple projects. So reducing duplicating and increasing the consistency between the projects. Yeah, and finally, like the visibility and traceability. So dashboards provides better traceability and info for the management. This improved reporting and made it easier to demonstrate compliance and quality.
Thank you so much, Waldemar. Thank you for taking the time to walk us through Aptive adoption and the benefits you're seeing on Studio side. So everyone, we have just talked about the transformation Aptive is seeing, but what does that transformation looks like for your organization with Studio? I think to summarize, you get a single platform that unifies simulation management, physical hardware access, and test orchestration. You can run cloud-scale simulations for broad functional testing, get secure time-shared access to your critical hardware, and seamlessly integrate testing with both physical and virtual test environment. And everything is built with an enterprise security and compliance in mind. The results that we have talked about speaks for themselves. 20 to 30% reduction in integration defects, 50% decrease in quality delays, and a return on investment typically achieved within 6 months. So really the question is not whether studio testing solution will transform your testing, it's how quickly you want to start seeing these results. So if the discussion today interests you, we're ready to prove this to you beyond just talking about it. And for that, we follow a 3-step approach. First, we'd love to show you a live demo where we'll walk through simulation orchestration, hardware access, and test orchestration using your specific use cases. Second, we'll do a deep dive into our security, role-based access control, and compliance features, because I know these are critical for your industry. And third, and this is where you see the results in your environment, set up a pilot project. So we'll take your specific simulation technologies, hardware benches, and test frameworks and prove the value in your environment with your real workload. Thank you everyone for your time, and we are excited to answer any further questions you may have. Over to you, Ken.
Incredible. Thank you so much, Titesh and Valdemar. Now, as I said before, we got a ton of good questions here, and a few more have come in. So keep sending those questions in, friends, and we're going to jump right in. First question here is, how easily does Studio plug into the continuous integration, continuous delivery pipelines that engineers and developers out there are already using today?
Yeah, Ken, I'll take that question. Well, great question. What I want to mention is Studio is designed to work with what you already have, not replace it. So at the moment, we integrate natively with Jenkins, GitLab, and most major CI/CD platforms through our standard REST-based APIs and CLIs. I'll give you an example of the workflow. When your team commits code, Studio automatically spins up the test environment, runs your test, and feed those results back into your existing dashboard. So your developers can keep using the same tool they know, but now they have the enterprise scale testing behind them. And most customers that we have implemented Studio testing are able to be up and running within their existing pipelines within a few days, not weeks. Thank you.
That's incredible. That kind of feedback loop is really invaluable when it comes to making sure that everything's working the way you want it to be working, and you don't get any unpleasant surprises. So that's really cool.
Maybe one additional point, because Nitesh mentioned about the Jenkins also, that it's integrated. So it's also possible, and we use it, that we trigger like the Jenkins pipelines directly from the WinRiver Studio in the phase when we shifted between the old system to the WinRiver Studio. So still, it's quite easy to reuse the old system and move to the new one.
Yeah. What's the best way for a potential user to evaluate if Studio fits with the workflows that they're already using? Are there certain parameters they should be looking for, or capabilities?
Yeah, no, great question again. We recommend starting with a pilot project, because then we actually prove the value to you with your actual workflow. So what we'll do is we'll take one of your current testing scenario, we'll plug it into Studio and show you how easy it integrates within your existing tools and ecosystem. That way, you can see exactly how it fits before making any major decisions about adoption. And we can usually set this up within 2 to 3 weeks and have you testing real scenarios within that time frame.
Wow, that's really fast. That's I've seen it take months to set up a pilot program, so that's awesome.
Absolutely.
Let's take a look here. Let's keep going. Folks out there, keep those questions coming in. We've still got a little bit of time here, and we'll get to as many as we can. Let's see here. Can Studio help track project progress and keep everyone aligned, sort of a collaborative tool, or would they still need to be using other tools to keep that collaborative communication rolling?
Yeah, no, I'll take a first stab at it, and I'll invite Voldemort to add to my answer. So what I would like to say is Studio gives you great visibility into testing progress. It gives you visibility into both the coverage as well as the test results. But what we intentionally are not trying to do is to replace your project management tools. We will integrate with the project management tools you use to feed the testing data where your teams already track progress. So you'll get the real-time dashboards showing test execution status, coverage metrics, and defect trends. But for the overall project management, resource planning, and milestone tracking, you would probably want to keep using what your team is using today. Anything you want to add, Baltimore?
Yes, exactly. As I mentioned before, we've got our test framework, and this test framework is already integrated with the WinRiver. So the data which is coming from our test runs goes through the WinRiver Studio, and then it's combined with all other data. So on the dashboards, we can see all the data. So not just the data which is coming from the studio, but also from any other tool. So then it's possible you can integrate any tool which you are using currently.
That's great. Speaking of using existing tools, one of our questions that came in here: if a potential client or company is working with a limited budget, but they need to be doing tests, how does Studio help to reuse or extend existing test infrastructure and sort of help manage resources?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And this is exactly where Studio shines. So instead of requiring customers to buy more hardware, we enable our customers to get better utilization of what you already have. As we discussed before, we have seen teams go from less than 40% hardware utilizations to 90 plus percent by adding the intelligent scheduling and remote access. So you can start small, maybe just virtualize access to your existing test benches. And as you see the ROI, you can add additional capabilities, add additional simulation capabilities, and expand to more teams. Most customers that we have interacted with, they see cost savings within the first quarter, just from better hardware utilizations and fewer delays. So, yeah.
That's awesome. I think we have time for just one more question here, and I'm sort of scanning to see which is a great one to end on, and I think I found the right one here. If we didn't get to your question, folks, don't worry. You'll hear from us with an answer. But for now, what kind of support, training, or ecosystem resources are available to help folks succeed with Studio? How can they get a little bit of help if they're looking to get in the best case scenario?
Yeah, once again, I think Waldemar touched upon it in his presentation. I'll re-emphasize, we provide comprehensive onboarding and training for your teams, as well as ongoing technical support. But honestly, the best resource is we have a web-based online portal for customer supports where we have user groups and team can share the best practices, and engineering team actively involved in helping customer optimize their workflow. In addition to that, we have a growing ecosystem of partners and integrations. So if you are using specific tools, whether it's a simulation tool or health setup, or you have unique requirements, chances are that we have worked with similar setups before, and we can help adopt your setup and bring you on board onto Studio with very less effort required on your side.
That's awesome. And I think that is about all the time we have for our Q&A today. Thank you all so much for attending and for watching. Thanks again to all our fine speakers, and I hope everyone has a wonderful day.